Interior Chinatown is one of the best shows this fall. I'm so excited for people to see it. I'm talking with author, series creator, showrunner Charles Yu, and then EP director, Oscar winner Taika Waititi. So, Charles, I'll let you do the honor. This is your show, your story. Tell us what Interior Chinatown's all about.
Interior Chinatown is, thank you, first of all. Interior Chinatown is about Willis Wu and his family. Willis is a guy who lives in Chinatown, but he finds himself kind of at the edge of a very interesting, weird world. And he basically tries to be part of a larger story. And what we watch in the course of the season is him basically leveling up and entering that story and trying to go from background guy to main character.
Such a great premise. I was so hooked from the beginning. And Taika, obviously, that's probably what brought you to this, but you're directing the first episode. You're an EP on the series. What brought you to Interior Chinatown?
I think it was the world. Charles was writing, and just the idea of the story really spoke to me. And coming from New Zealand, I think we're often, way down the list in terms of the conversation or being included in anything in the rest of the world. So, I felt like this is a great way to speak to that. And the world and the complexity of it that Charles created, I will admit, most of the time I was really struggling to figure it out. I was like, maybe I'd come to you, I'd be like, what is happening in this point of the story? And so Charles was sort of the mastermind and the architect of everything, and so you kind of I had to rely heavily on him understanding all the intricacies of the world to get that. So, but it was a really fun ride, and to also create a show where a lot of the styles of the shooting and everything that we did, they also related to like what version of reality we were in as well. So it's like a really mind-boggling, great world to be in, and to be part of that felt very special.
It's a very special show. It's so important to have these voices heard in this kind of way. Obviously, people might compare it to Free Guy, but I can promise you the book was made before Free Guy was ever in development. It's such a great show. And Charles, what about this? You get to expand upon your universe in this series, and hopefully we get additional seasons. What about that is exciting for you?
Continuing to live in this world and get to, the first season sets up relationships of these characters, and we get to see, without spoiling it, they're sort of stripping off of layers until we're seeing them more and more kind of authentic. Everyone's playing a role, but as the season goes on, the roles start to evolve and people start to show more of themselves and be less guarded. And I think that's something that's always been interesting to me, is sort of sincerity.
It's just like real life. We're all playing a role, and it takes most of us a long time before we start to shed all of those BS roles that we kind of put out there for the world to see, and then we get down to the truth of who we really are.
Certainly, and Taika, this is just another home run that your name is attached to. Jojo Rabbit, one of my favorite movies. What We Do in the Shadows, Reservation Dogs. It's just a knockout hit. Interior Chinatown. I can't wait for people to see this. All episodes dropping November 19th on Hulu. Thanks a lot, guys. An absolute scene stealer in Silicon Valley is Jin Yang. I've loved his career since then. I'm so excited to talk to Jimmy O. Yang. He's now the star of Interior Chinatown. So thanks for chatting with me. And how did you first come across this story?
I was first sent the script, and it was one of the best pilot scripts I've ever read. And then I went back to read the book, usually not the fastest book reader, but I read the whole thing in like a day. I just related to it so much. Like what you said, like I was on Silicon Valley and now I'm starting the show. That was like kind of the journey that Willis Wu, the lead character, is going through. He literally went from like background actor to like bit parts to tech guy to, eventually he is who he is. But that was just really interesting and really relatable, So I fell in love with the story.
Great to see that you're the leading man of a show now. And I've looked at your career. You are such an important voice for marginalized people in your communities all across the world. It's so great that you're at the forefront of this. What's it like getting this story told on a huge streaming service like Hulu?
I'm just glad to be a part of it. It started off with Charlie Yu with the book and the brilliant story and all the themes that he tackles in there. Things that aren't, easy to talk about a lot of times, like the invisibility of Asian people, the rejections that marginalized people face all the time, and the internalization of a lot of those things. But he's able to tell it in such a brilliant and entertaining way with the help of Taika Waititi and everyone else and the whole cast and crew. So it's been a really special project. And I think at the end of the day, the show the great part about the show, it's just so entertaining. It's funny, it's action packed. There's a mystery, and it's also heartfelt with all the relationships in the show. So I think that's first and foremost the most important thing about any entertainment, TV or film, right? And then if through the show, if you're thoroughly entertained, and then you can kind of get a sense of how it feels maybe to be an underdog, to be someone that's othered or has dealt with these invisibility, being invisible in the background, then I think it will be quite meaningful.
You stole the words absolutely right out of my mouth, where it's funny and it's mystery and it's heartfelt and it's all the different types of genres. It doesn't just fit in one mold, which makes it such an incredible series. What do you hope for future seasons of Interior Chinatown? Because people are just going to love it.
Every episode, even like I don't even know what's gonna happen in the next one, you know. And when Charlie sends in the script, it was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And I hope that's what the audience feels. And I hope we leave you feeling like that at the end of the first season, also that you want more. And to me, I don't know. Like I am excited of whatever Charlie creates, you know, if there are future seasons. And I'm as excited as hopefully the audience will be. And that's that's the great thing about it. You just it's so unexpected every episode.
Really is. As an audience member, I'll be watching. I know more people will once they get to see it. Make sure you watch Interior Chinatown. All episodes drop November 19th on Hulu. Thanks so much, Jimmy. So it started with American Horror Story, then American Crime Story, American Horror Stories, and now we're getting the first season of American Sports Story, all about Aaron Hernandez. I'm talking with the star himself, Josh Rivera. So thanks for chatting with me, and tell us, for those who aren't familiar with Aaron's story, tell us what it's about.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Man, it's kind of hard to condense something like that, but if you don't know anything about it at all, somebody who played for a really top-level sports team in college and then played for the New England Patriots while the New England Patriots were really on their game. And basically a person who was on top of the world and in the height of his career was convicted of murder. And I think this is the point leading to, the show covers the point leading to that and then what happens afterwards. And it tries to tell everything in between, so.
And this is a huge, huge role starring in a Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk show. We know you from West Side Story, The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and now you are front and center in this kind of show. What was the casting process like and finally getting that call that you're going to be Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah, the casting process, you know, wasn't atypical. It was, I had to do a tape, and I sent in the tape, and then I got a call back, and then I went to go do a screen test, and then the screen test was funny, man, because I hadn't done one before that was like, you know, you come into this room, and it's everybody in the same room, they all kind of look like you, and we're all looking around. There's dudes in there that were like 6'4", they were super huge, you know, so I was very intimidated. But I ended up going in to read with Patrick Schwarzenegger, who ended up playing Tim Tebow. And yeah, I guess it went really well because shortly after that, I got a call that I had gotten the role, and that was really cool. I'll tell you two things that happened because I was so tunnel focused on getting the job, and then after I got the job, I was like, oh my gosh, I better do a really good job. So then I pretty much immediately started the prep work, and I wanted to be physically ready, and I started to do all of that stuff almost right away.
You're doing a great job. I've seen the first few episodes, and it's so, so exciting to watch the show, but it's also very sad. It brings up a really important topic that we're still seeing today in football: CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and concussions is what it all comes down to, what people think might have led to some of his decisions. You played football growing up, so this has to reach home to you as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I wasn't in it quite as long as some of my peers were. I played for probably 3 years, and I ended up kind of shifting gears towards the art, but it was really fun to kind of dust off the chops, you know what I mean? And just sort of get to play around a little bit again. But yeah, kind of like you said, it is sort of a novel mental thing that's being learned more about every couple of years. I feel like there's some new information that comes along. And credit to the NFL for, introducing new technology and new helmets to mitigate that. Something I find really interesting is there's new rules implemented on the way that you can tackle people and the way that you can do this and that I've noticed some fans getting upset about, which I think is kind of interesting considering how many stories we have like this one. But yeah, I can't remember the question you asked, to be honest, but
No, you answered it great. Yeah, you answered it great. And so with these kind of stories, obviously it's a sensitive subject. Did you talk with Aaron's family, friends, relationships to get their approval? Sometimes people are all on board with these adaptations. Sometimes they're not. What was that process like for you?
yeah, we tried to rely more on the information that the Boston Globe gave us. And I personally didn't have that resource, but it was my priority too to kind of look at all the facts as a whole. And what you'll see when you do a lot of research into something like this, there's tons of media, there's tons of books, there's documentaries, there's the podcast, and there's a lot of perspectives about it. And a lot of people see a lot of things differently, which is an interesting thing to consider when you're approaching a role like this, especially when so widely known. So it was, I guess, kind of my responsibility to take as much of the facts, like the verifiable stuff that I was given, and turn that into a character, and find a core essence in that was compatible with these perspectives that people had, without imitating this person, move for move. So that was part of the challenge on my part that I tried really hard to focus on and be sensitive about, because that's without disregarding altogether all these people who care about this story. It's an interesting line to walk.
It's a tragic story. It's about his rise and downfall, but what's not tragic is your star in the making performance. Make sure you watch American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez, Tuesdays on FX, streaming the next day on Hulu. Thanks a lot, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
1986. You can have whatever you want. Come to the Cotswolds. Exciting things are going to happen to us in a place like this.
Tony Barry. If you don't start spending some of that fortune making decent television, you're going to lose your business.
Long before there was 50 Shades of Grey and Bridgerton, there was Rivals, the Rutger Chronicles. This is finally getting its adaptation on television. I'm talking with two of the stars, Aidan Turner and Nafisa Williams. So, Nafisa, let's start with you. Tell us about your character.
Oh, my character. I felt like I was on the internet and I was like logging out a little bit. My character is Cameron Cook. She is fiery, she's spicy, she's smart, she's bold, she's sexy, she's sensual, she is in control, she knows exactly what she wants, and she knows exactly how to get it.
Wow. Can I just say, so this feels so American straight away. The introduction,
I was going to say, Trevor,
the
you're
backdrop.
so on
Trevor,
it.
you got this on.
And your internet is like superb.
Yeah. I mean, America. You know what I mean? America.
Duh.
You want to know who Declan is, right?
Definitely.
Right. Well, Declan is a journalist, an Irish journalist, moved with his wife and his two kids. They live in London. At the beginning of the show, we find out they need to leave. He's been offered a job in Rutger, which is like the Cotswolds, southwest UK, and they need to leave for reasons that we'll find out in the show, but there might be some infidelity on his wife's side. They just want to get out of Dodge. So he's taken a contract with somebody he doesn't really like to do a show that he's not very excited about, but he needs to pay the bills and do it. He's a serious person. He's a smart guy. He's a literate figure. And he's a serious guy. I mean, there's fun there. He can get it. He gets a joke. He understands it. But he'd be more of the serious stock, I suppose, in the film. Yeah, more in the TV show. One of the more serious characters. Yeah.
That total mustache envy watching this show. But now I see you on camera without the mustache. Was it real? Was it all fake? You gotta tell us.
No, it's real. It's real. I mean, when you have the opportunity to do real, it's best to go real. It looks better, but also, yeah, the sticking on stuff doesn't always. It sheds and it's weird, and I sort of made a decision to never do it again. No, it was my own one. But yeah, it takes over your face a little bit. I mean, it's quite a look. When you get rid of it, you look sick or something, you look like you're on death's door. It's like, what looks so different? But yeah, it balances my face good. I think it quite suits me. I think in another world I'd probably grow it full time.
No, it looked really good.
Thank you.
Great. And Nafisa, this is obviously a British show where you guys filmed it, but you're a States girl. What's it like being a part of this show, going from across the pond, literally, to film this kind of show and be part of something that's going to be huge?
Yeah, I feel so honored to be a part of something that already exists in this world, this universe of Jilly Cooper and her books, to give voice over to a character and to also, you know, to be imitating the art. Like Cameron has been recruited from New York because she's like one of the top producers. So as an actress coming from America and now being over here, it's just really an honor to give voice to something so iconic and so groundbreaking and such a strong, dynamic, multi-dimensional character such as Cameron, and to bring some of that like U.S. New York flavor and to be really authentic. I didn't have to like reach too far outside of myself. I'm a Philly girl, a West Philly girl, which is right down the street from New York. I call Philly baby New York. So I was just able to bring like my raw, authentic self and what I thought that looked and felt like in the 80s. And, you know, that was just like a dream come true to become an adult in the 80s. Like, I can't say that enough.
So much fun. And like you said, it's based on Dame Jilly Cooper's books, which, Aiden, you have to know. Everyone in the UK knows this. Everyone in the UK knows these books, the series, the Rutshire Chronicles. What's it like finally getting this story to be adapted and being part of it?
It's amazing. You know, somebody said earlier, I hadn't counted the years, but, you know, it's 36 years since the book was published. And it's kind of, we're kind of lucky in a lot of ways that there hasn't been versions of this, you know, because it's just harder, isn't it, to have a definitive version at this. It's taken this long, but we can really make a good show now, you know. We got all these things and people and all this stuff. So we can really make it happen. So I feel super honored. I mean, I was obviously aware who Jilly Cooper was, you know, growing up, but I hadn't read her books. So you also, as an actor, you get to do these cool things too and like dip into a genre that you wouldn't necessarily wouldn't be on your radar otherwise. So yeah, a huge honor. And Jilly is around. She's here today. She's doing press. You know, she was on set many times. Yeah. So it's we all feel really lucky to be a part of this, I think.
Rivals is so spicy in all the best ways. I've seen the first few episodes. I can't wait to see more. So I'm talking now with Bella McLean, Victoria Smurfett. So I'm going to ask each of them. Bella, I'll start with you. Tell us more about your character.
Taggy is... How would I describe Taggy? Taggy's sort of the heart of the story. She's a very sensitive, quite insecure young girl, and it's quite a coming-of-age story for her. She has a complex relationship with one of the other leads called Rupert Campbell-Black. She loves nature. She loves cooking. She really cares about her family. She's obsessed with keeping her family a tight-knit group. And she's deeply in love with her dog, Gertrude. Most
transition. Yes, most importantly, of course. So Victoria, tell us more about your character.
Okay, I play Maud. Maud is Taggy's mother. She is a terrible mother because she is complicated, complex, emotionally erratic. She loves a drink, desperately needs external validation, preferably from men, not always from just the one she's married to. And she is, a bit of a firecracker.
So, and Bella, it's good to see you two sitting so close together, because if this was the show, I don't think your characters would be sitting that close together. What was it like building that relationship, kind of non-relationship between those two?
Well, it did help that we got along really well in real life, which made things a lot easier, and it actually made us, you know, really go for it in the scenes. And I mean, I can't speak for you, Vic, but we had a lot of fun, I think, and there were lots of hugs after every slightly more vicious takes. But it was great. We had a really great rapport from the get-go.
Oh, literally from
felt like she was my
beginning.
mother. My mother actually met her, and they were sort of.
I had to tell her real mother, no, back up, sit down. I'm in charge.
Yeah.
She's
not needed anymore. Yeah.
I love her like she's my own.
Yeah, no.
I love to hear it. It's good to get mother's approval to play a different mother on TV. And Victoria, you have a lot of these spicy scenes right from the beginning. What's it like? Is there an intimacy coordinator on set? What's it like getting those scenes built out?
Yeah, we had a whole team of intimacy coordinators who were brilliant, and it's just it's just another scene. You're just wearing a lot less, but you're still telling a story, and you're with your co-star who you trust implicitly on a production where you trust everybody implicitly. So it's sort of because you trust everybody, there's no fear factor. It's very freeing, and it's literally just, what story do we have to tell? Where's the tone? And oh, by the way, there's just no worries about how washing your outfit at the end of the day. Because there isn't.
Great way to put, yeah, that's a great way to put it. And Victoria, I'll ask you this next question also. These novels, like this one came out in the late 80s, but now it's 2024 and we're finally getting an adaptation of one of the biggest novels out there in the UK, and American audiences are going to love it too. What's it like being part of this story on television?
Oh, it's an absolute ride. Great fun. Can't wait for everybody to see it. We made it some time ago now, and we had so much fun making it, and on and off set, that we're all absolutely jonesing for you all to see it and become part of our family of entertainment, joy, madness, romance, heartbreak, and horses.
I'm talking with Danny Dyer, Catherine Parkinson. So, Catherine, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about your character.
Hi, I'm Lizzie Verica, and she's a novelist and wife of James, and she is sort of best friends with Rupert, and you sort of see her come into her own a bit over the course of the series and fall in love.
Yeah, very much. And Danny, tell us about your character.
I play Freddie Jones, a sort of self-made billionaire, we're going to say, a working class character who's found himself within this sort of environment which he's quite uncomfortable in, and some of the sort of elitist characters are wanting his money for investment, and he's reluctant to do that. But Freddie has got a kind heart, and he's a good soul, and he also finds love.
Yeah, we're excited to see that across the season. And Catherine, your character starts off the season when the Declan's family moves into their new home, and it's a very funny scene that I don't want to spoil. But you come to the front door, and it's like, no, we're not here for this. But what is it like when you're introduced into this family and get to know all these characters?
Yeah, I think she's completely overwhelmed by the glamour of this family that moves in across the valley, and suddenly she's got sort of a reason to go over there and become friends with these very exotic people. I think they think she's a bit sort of awkward and frumpy, but she's just sort of, it's a quality of hers I love, which is her openness and generosity. And also she's a writer, so she's sort of absolutely locking onto them for material.
She's very much a character we can root for. I've seen a few of the episodes. I can't wait to see more. And Danny, this is a very, very intimate show. It's not going to be for everyone, but those who are going to watch it are absolutely going to love it. What was it like filming these intimate scenes across most of the cast?
Well, I think it is for everyone, this show. Obviously, you have to be a certain age. I don't know what that would be, wherever you are. But there's some brilliant performances in the show. And I feel that the 80s is very relevant at the moment. And we really capture that era. And it's got everything, the show. So it's going to make you laugh. It will make you cry. You know, it's the drama in it's just on point, and it's full of beautiful, sexy people. So there's not really much more you need from a slice of entertainment.
Very much. It's great entertainment. And Catherine, I'll give you my last question. This is based on Dame Jilly Cooper's books, The Rutshire Chronicles. Here in the States, this obviously came before 50 Shades of Grey, before Bridgerton, but this is a very big book series in the UK. What was it like being a part of something like this?
Yeah, I mean, you won't meet many people in Britain that don't know who Jilly Cooper is. Her books are on every single shelf, you know, and there's a sort of palpable sense of excitement, I think, amongst the Cooper fans. And we've sort of met some of them today, and that's really exciting. And I hope that a lot of people might be sent to her books from the show, but also people that don't know the books. I hope that the show will absolutely be entertaining on its own as well.
So I'm talking with Claire Rushbrook, Emily Atack. So Claire, let's start with you. Tell us more about your character.
Hello, I'm Claire. I'm playing Lady Monica Baddingham. She is upper class. in this English class system that we have. She is of what we call old money. She's secure, she is traditional, she is dependable, and she has a loving, functioning, affectionate marriage with her husband, who is Tony Baddingham, played by David Tennant. The whole world of television that is so glorious in this series is of no interest to her. She's at home with her dogs in her bucolic country pile, and she's very content for things to be just so.
Sarah
Very much
Stratton
an Emily,
is,
nope.
yeah, Sarah Stratton, quite different. Yes, she's married to Paul Stratton, local MP. She's considerably younger than Paul. It's quite clear very early on that her hidden agendas there of, reasons for marrying him are not so good. And she's very conniving, very manipulative. She knows she has men falling at her feet. She uses her sexuality to get the things that she wants. But she's also very ambitious and funny, and you really kind of see the character develop, and you kind of get to learn her more vulnerable sides as it goes on. So it was a really, really fun character to play.
Very fun show. And Claire, you mentioned David Tennant, who plays your husband. He's Doctor Who, Broadchurch, Good Omens, Jessica Jones. I mean, the list just goes on and on, how we know him. What was it like working with him? And you said loving husband. We'll learn more about that as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's wonderful working with David. I mean, it's well known how professional he is and what charming, company he is. But I have to say, watching his performance in this, and certainly being on set with him, it is the most powerful, exquisite, brave, strong performance. He's sort of serpentine in his coldness, but he's got this fiery heat in his belly. It's an exquisite performance, and that was just a delight to see, as it was happening, and then subsequently watching it played back. But I know him of old. We did Doctor Who together, a couple of series of that. And that was a good intro and shortcut to playing very companionable husband and wife. We've had some lovely, quieter, tender scenes away from the hot-headed world of television where he is so brilliantly playing his part.
It's great to hear. And Emily, this is one of the shows, the kind of show that I just am drawn to. It's a huge ensemble cast. There are so many characters. You can tell just by this junket, everyone is doing it because everyone has major roles. What's it like being a part of such a great ensemble?
Honestly, I keep saying, the whole imposter syndrome thing for me, this is genuinely the best job I've ever done in my life. As soon as I knew, the cast that were involved, I couldn't believe it. And yeah, I think the genuine friendships that we've made, hopefully that chemistry kind of comes through. We all had so much fun doing it. The costumes were amazing. Costume department are incredible. The hair and makeup. It was quite literally the dream job. Amazing.
It's based on the book by Dame Jilly Cooper, who UK audiences obviously know. It's one book, but is there a chance we could expect a second season? Should things go well, audiences are obviously going to love it.
We hope so. We really hope so. Yeah. I mean, any excuse for us all to get together and have a lovely time.
I mean, Jilly has written several books in this chronicle. There are several novels, so we're really hopeful that that people enjoy it because we're so proud of it.
Yeah, really proud of it.
I'm hopeful for another season. I know people are going to enjoy it. Your performances are terrific. Thank you so much. And make sure you watch Rivals on Hulu. Thank you. The show I have been telling everyone about this fall is English Teacher. It is so funny. It's so original. It's on FX. I'm talking with one of the stars himself, Enrico Colantani. So thank you for chatting with me, and give us a brief background. What's English Teacher all about?
What is it about? It's about a good time. It's about laughter and love. It's all that. But you want a basic synopsis, Trevor?
Yeah, why not?
A very liberal teacher teaching in a very conservative state, and dealing with a lot of current weaponized politics and weaponized identity politics, and how a teacher and an educational system has to maneuver around a very savvy, strong-minded student body, and it's very. I know. I've already heard rumblings that real teachers who watch this show have become triggered and can't watch it because it's so close to home.
So funny that real teachers.
It's like, well, I guess we're doing something right.
Yeah, you're obviously doing something right based on all the critical acclaim and the audience reception to this. Your character is obviously this main teacher's boss, the principal. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, I play a man named Grant Moretti. He's the principal, and he really comes from a place of, he comes from an old school mentality of like, I'm the teacher, you're the student, but the world has changed. And then there's a young teacher like Evan who's a crusader and really wants to change the world, and especially being a liberal-minded person operating within a very conservative state like Texas. And so he's got a thing about wanting to affect change. And Moretti's like, easy, you're going to get us all fired. You're going to get us all canceled. It's not going to happen. You can't do that. I love you. I think what you're saying is great. It's great, but you can't do it. And so he's at constant odds with Evan, who wants to do that. And Moretti's just like, literally he has no hair left to pull out. But it's great. It's smart. It's so smart and current and funny and heartwarming, and the warmth of these characters who just, you think that they would clash. You think that these characters would really clash, but what makes this show so special is that they all care very much about each other. They really do care. Yeah.
And this teacher you're mentioning is the showrunner, the lead actor, Brian Jordan Alvarez, who just came up with this brilliant show. What's it like working with him and getting asked to be on this show?
Well, it's a combination because although, I thank Brian for letting me ride his coattails on the show. There's such a team behind him that brilliant writers and producers and directors. So the whole, so I'm going to give Brian all the credit, 100%, that he created an environment that is just open to collaboration, that is completely safe to be creative and explore, and there's no judgment. There's just anything goes, and it's just like, I mean, I love how they will use mistakes, visible mistakes in the language in a scene, and they'll use it in the final episode. They want it real. They want it authentic. They're just open to it, and that's so refreshing to work around. And Brian, sometimes you're working off camera with Brian. You're in a scene with him, right? And you'll say something that'll make him laugh, and it's just like, dude, you can't be laughing. You're in the scene with me. But he's just sitting back, enjoying every moment of it. That he forgets that he's supposed to be acting with me, but he's just laughing and he's just like having a great time. And it's just like, I love that, man. Oh my God, it's so much fun to go work with those guys. And they're and his relationship with Stephanie is just like, oh my God, it's like watching. I've said this before. It's like watching Gracie and Burns. They just have such a shorthand, and they're so comfortable with each other. I could just watch them riff all day. It's just lovely. It's just lovely to watch.
It's all of you that put this ensemble together. It's so fun to watch all of you. And my favorite parts are when all of you are together in this spotlight. And in this next episode, the 7th episode called Convention, you all get to go on this convention, and your character gets kind of his own storyline in this. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, he gets, I think it's always fun to see characters that are in a familiar environment like the school. That's where all the juicy stuff happens. But then you remove them from that environment and you put them in neutral territory. You get to see their humanity. You get to see what they're really like without the pressures of their workday. So this is a convention, a teacher's convention, where, Evan starts off all excited. We're in a hotel. We got buffet. And then the reality of how difficult teachers have it in the education system. And there's one funny line was like, teachers are now encouraged to find a second full-time job. It's like, what? I still laugh at that line. We're encouraged to find a second full-time job. And it's like, and then slowly you realize, oh my God, they're just like, but Moretti rises above it. He's been around enough to know what makes a good teacher, and that's being a good person. And it doesn't matter. All that stuff is just, you're going to just keep showing up, and because you love doing it, because you're a man of integrity, Evan. And that's beautiful to me, to play a character who really comes from, because I love what I do. I love what I do. I want to die doing what I do. And I bring that to what Moretti believes in. It's just like, I'm a teacher. This is what I do. It's like all that shit, all that stuff, underpaid. You get vilified, you get scrutinized, but I love doing what I love doing. And that's what Evan is. That's who Evan and Gwen are, all of them, even even the Carmen character. I forget. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, anyway. Yeah.
I can tell you as an audience member, I love watching English Teacher, and I'm no doubt in my mind that it's going to be renewed for a second season. Where do you hope your character goes in a second season, or what kind of storyline are you hoping that the principal takes?
Well, it's always fun to see characters outside of their comfort zone, right? And I know there are suggestions that he's not very happy at home. So we'll see how he manages that. Maybe he's got, a couple of kids that aren't easy to manage, and how he deals with that. That would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun to see that part of him. And in this 7th episode, you also get a fun back and forth with Sean Patton's character, Marky, the gym teacher, who it's like, I don't want to give too much away about the episode, but it's like, well, are you or aren't you guys going to be feuding at this point? What's that like with him?
Sean and Carmen are, they're masterful. They're comedians, right? They're just they can't not think in funny terms. So it took me a while to just sort of understand that, because I come from a classically trained background, and I did Chekhov and Shakespeare. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't understand the comic's mind necessarily. So watching them work is just like, after a while, you just sit back and you just watch them go. You just watch them go. You just forget that you're in a scene. They just go off, and they just go off, and they'll go off. So you learn. Moretti begins to accept them for who they are. You know what I mean? Automatically, I'm going to bring that to my character and deal with the actors the way my character would, and just like, I'm gonna just let them be who they are and find an appreciation for what they're doing. And they're magnificent, and they're so much fun to watch and work with. But I learned so much from these guys, and just how quick. If not for writers, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on. I rely so heavily on what's on the page. But,
bring it to the screen as well. I can tell you as an audience member, it's the best ensemble show of the fall. I can't wait to see more of The English Teacher, and make sure you watch it Monday nights at 10 p.m. on FX, streaming the next day on Hulu. Thanks so much, Enrico.
Thanks, Trevor. Good to meet you.
You as well. Thank you. It's hard to believe that the first season of English Teacher is wrapping up right now. It's one of the best shows on TV. I can't wait for people to, if they haven't seen it, to see it. I'm talking with one of the stars, Sean Patton. He plays the gym teacher. So tell us more about your character.
Hi, Marky Hillridge, the all-American, just sort of bumbling goof. I wouldn't even call him a goofball. He's pretty serious, but a lot of the things he does come across very silly. He's everybody. Everybody has a Marky in their life. I've said it a bunch of times. He's like a lot of my uncles and cousins mixed into one person. Doing his best, but ringing a few bells on the way there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's a fun guy to play.
He's very fun to watch on screen too. And what was the audition process like to get this character, who obviously, knowing when you're auditioning, you don't know what this show is going to be, that now it's this critically acclaimed show. Everyone loves it. What was that like?
I mean, the moment I got the audition to read, I was reading. I was on the subway. I was in New York. I was reading it on the train. I was like, this is good. This is this is so good. It's one of those you didn't want. You don't want to let yourself get too excited for it, because you're like, you never know. It's a process, and I guarantee they are auditioning other people, and you just want to do it the best you possibly can and make them want to cast no one else but you. That's what you want, and that's what happened. But it was an awesome process, and then like, getting to meet the first time Evan, Brian, there you go. First time Marky and I, that's me. First time Brian and I read as Evan and Marky, it was just apparent. It was like clear. It was very like, oh, this is a vibe. This is a thing. This feels real. And that's what I love about their relationship, is that it's real. I've had so many teachers reach out to me, and I'm sure this has happened to Brian more so on social media and whatnot, just being like, not only are you guys nailing what it's like to teach kids today, but also you're nailing what it's like to work with other coworkers, to other teachers. So I'm like, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Because I think we could all think of when we were in high school, we were in school, you think of, you noticed which teachers liked each other and which didn't, and which had, more tumultuous relationships than others. So I think it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Shows are super fun to talk about school in modern society, because obviously a lot of the stuff going on today wasn't around when we were in school, like these cell phones, all the different debates on gender and sexuality and everything that comes with this show. What's it like kind of getting to live that while you're in this show?
I mean, it makes me appreciate, to every teacher out there, every teacher of any grade, but every educator out there, like, keep your chin up, keep like, you're doing the good work. But we need you. Keep doing what you're doing, because it's got to be crazy, because some of the stuff, just the scripts you're reading it, and you're like, this is nuts. But then, like, you realize, like, it's also real. It's also really happening out there. You read about it. You can read dozens upon dozens of articles. I've had teachers send me like chat, like screenshots of their teacher chat, and you're like, wow, this is what's going on in our schools today. So it makes me just appreciate them all so much more. Anyone who doesn't just walk out, God, bless you. Stay in the classroom. We need you.
Definitely needs Brian Jordan Alvarez is who you're talking about, as Evan. He's the showrunner. He helped create this show. He's the star of the show. And your characters, like you said, have such a great dynamic relationship. What's that like working with him?
Oh, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. He radiates talent. Like I said this earlier, he radiates talent. Like, so even if you suck, he makes you better. Like, and there's so many, and he's such a good actor. And he can just sort of like, he can just click right into it. It's amazing. It's insane to watch. It's like inspiring. He's so quick, and the show. It's his vision. And when you work with someone, I mean, him and Steph, they've been working together for years. And Jonathan Kreisel, the director, of a bunch of episodes, and he's amazing. And Paul Sims, who produced it all. I mean, it was this perfect storm of brilliant minds that came together. Brian is, I mean, the world's got to be ready for this guy. Because, I mean, you're talking breakout star. I mean, he's already a star in his own right, but I mean, that guy's he's gonna do levels of things. It's being in the presence of greatness, and it's really, really wild. It's awesome. Like, I would walk off, we'd do a scene and I'd walk off and just be a little, like, damn, I got the chills, man. He's so good. And like I said, I hope the world's ready, because that guy, I mean, him and Stephanie, they're gonna take over. Be prepared.
We're all prepared. It's one of the best ensemble shows on TV. You all collectively are so great and make each other better. And one of my favorite scenes, I'll give a little tease, but I don't want to spoil too much about the finale, is your character at the bar meeting someone he went to high school with. We've all been there, where it's like, wait a second, you're gay, but you don't seem gay. But it's so relatable. It's not the typical stereotypes that we see on TV, yet this guy is so comfortable in his own skin. What was that scene like to film?
I love that you said that, because that's one of my favorite scenes. And no, you nailed it. You just, I mean, what I love, there's so many things I love about the writing on this show, specifically my lines, but also everyone else's. No, but like such a wonderfully written show. But that's the main thing is they avoid, steer clear of stereotypes and cliches and any of that. Like it's everything's real and they find we all, and even when we were filming it, it was like this. Man, I love that this isn't just a very cliche moment. It's like you nailed it. We've all had that moment. Maybe it wasn't while you were at a gay biker bar, but like you've had that moment, and so that was fun as hell to play because you're just tapping into an experience you've already lived and just kind of elevating it, and that was and I wish I could remember the actor's name. Damn it, the guy who he was so good. He was so funny, so good, and like right away it was just like, yep, we're both tapped into what this moment is. It isn't like, oh, let's find it. Nope, it's already here. It's already here, and we're in it. So it was awesome to film. Like I love that. I'm very good. Episode 8's, yeah,
Yes.
They're all great, but it's such a great lead up. It's so great.
It's obviously not going to be a series finale. We know it's going to get renewed for a second season. Just all the critical acclaim, everyone loving the show. Where do you hope Marky goes in the second season?
I mean, there's so many places Marky could go. All I know is this: I want to, and I think we all need to see it because Marky does represent. I've said this before, like the gray area. You know what I mean? Like life's not black and white; it's a lot of gray. It's mostly gray, and Marky's right there in it. And I want to see like anybody you root for, you want to see him grow, but there's going to be struggles. There's going to be mistakes. I mean, of course, I want to see. Marky's a doofus. I want him to say I want him to make unlimited mistakes going forward, and I want to see him learn from them because that's life. That's what we all got to do in this world. You're going to mess up and then learn from it and move forward. And don't blame anyone else. Take the blame, shoulder it, walk forward. Get stronger because you're carrying the blame, and then next thing you know, the path is easier. I want to see that from Marky. Growth.
Growth, I will tell people the only mistake people are making is if they have not watched English Teacher. Make sure you watch it Monday nights on FX, streaming the next day on Hulu. Thanks so much, Sean.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you.
You're right. I am so mad, and I know you probably love that, but I swear if you keep doing this, I will destroy your life.
See, if you do not stop smiling at me like that, then I'm gonna have to kiss you.
Class, this is Stephen DeMarco, your new TA.
She switched into my section on purpose.
You serious? Evan's been different.
Tell Me Lies season 2 just ended. It is so good. It's one of my favorite shows on TV. They are starring as Pippa, Sonia Minna. Thank you so much for chatting with me. For anyone who hasn't seen Tell Me Lies, tell us what it's about.
Oh, I guess about toxic relationships in college and a lot of bad behavior.
Bad behavior, especially from the lead characters. But what I love about it is that the supporting characters, yes, they make some bad decisions, but they're the ones as audience members we really root for. And that's so true this season with Pippa. Tell us about Pippa's storyline in the second season.
Yeah, I mean, she has a pretty intense thing happen to her very early on in the storyline, and we sort of see her navigating that and just really trying to survive as best as she can. And find surprising alliances, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's interesting. I think we see her let her guard down less so because she wants to and more because she just doesn't have the energy to be fronting all the time. So yeah.
It's such a beautifully layered performance from you. How do you go to that dark place where this is real issues that people are dealing with on college campuses, and your character is just so at the forefront of this that it's going to be so helpful for so many people.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope it is helpful for some people, and it's a very heavy subject matter. To be honest, I meditate every day before set, which is probably the most actor-y thing I've ever said in my whole life, but it's true. The costume designer, Charlotte, gave me a book that I cannot remember the name, Chanel Miller's book, which was really, really beautiful and really powerful. And I'm a quick reader, but I read it really slowly and tried to read it sort of matching the steps that Pippa was going through and just like hold it really dearly. And that book in particular just was really, yeah, astonishing. So that was very helpful. Yeah.
Very good to hear that. And the biggest change physically for Pippa, obviously from season 1 to season 2, is the blonde hair. But you don't have the blonde hair. What was that decision like? Some people love it, some people don't love it, but what's your
Really?
take on it?
Who doesn't like it?
Yeah, I've just
Where are they? No, Megan came to me pretty early on while they were still writing, saying like I used to really short hair. She's like, we want Pippa to come back different. We're thinking short hair. And I was like, I actually don't think that, to me, signals very like queer, especially in that time period. Now it's not so much, but in that time period, it felt very like proud and queer. And I didn't feel like she was in that place. And I also remember feeling like it was really not cool to have short hair for a lot of time people, like, and she's chasing acceptance and like male validation so much. But I have been blonde many times in my life, and I was like, what if we go blonde? And then it was Megan who, because she wanted a differentiation between me and Lucy, was like, yes, but we're gonna go platinum blonde. And my hair actually was platinum as well, so it was like a whole anyway. But yeah, it was really fun. It was yeah, a fun thing to explore. And also I think sort of thinking about her hiding herself, it's camouflage, it's both like I look amazing and also like don't recognize me. And sort of whitewashing herself, and then we see her later and she's got her natural texture and she's out and she's queer and she's like embracing herself. And so I feel like that was a fun thing to explore. Yeah.
That's a great foreshadowing story that we also see throughout all of the episodes. And I don't want to spoil this either, but you have a lot of great scenes coming in the future with Alicia Crowder, who plays Diana, and you have dark hair, and you are just so comfortable being yourself. What's it like working with her on those scenes?
Oh, it's so fun. Alicia's so great, and she's just so like precise and a hilarious person. So it was really fun to do those and to just try and sneak in. I mean, there's such small scenes, so trying to sneak in as much detail and layering as we could was really just such a joy to work with her. She's awesome. Yeah.
I guess we shouldn't comment on each other's relationships. We don't actually know each other that well. I mean, I didn't even know you were sleeping with Wrigley again. Why do you care? I don't.
Season 1 was one semester, season 2 is another semester, and we're trying to inch our way to 2015 where we see these scenes. Do you know if there's going to be semester by semester where we're going to get however many seasons? Do you know if there's going to be a time jump? What's in the works?
I don't know. They don't tell me anything. I mean, I think there's so much that it needs to be settled up. The bomb that Lucy drops in episode, I think it's 7. We don't really get to see the fallout of that. We haven't seen Pippa really come into her power and act on things yet. We've mostly seen her just like, again, like trying to survive and process. And so, yeah, there's so, I think the writers have done such a cool job of loading up everyone and loading up Pippa so much. And she's so ready to just like explode. So I'm sure we'll have to see some of that because there's too many unanswered questions. Yeah.
I have all the questions that every audience member has. And my favorite relationship in season 2 was between yours and Spencer House's character. Very different than season 1, but it's so great to see them this season together. What's it like with him?
Oh, it's so fun. Spencer is the best. It was really nice to have those longer scenes and yet to have deeper moments, and it's a very particular weird texture between them because it's a lot of like lonely people in pain not talking about it. So yeah, I mean, Spencer's hilarious. He just sings a lot of Creed on set most of the time at full volume, to be honest. Yeah.
I heard I talked to him before the season started, and his co-star said he's just as big of a goofball as his character portrays.
Oh, he's the silliest man you've ever met in your whole life.
That's so funny because he plays that character so well.
But very different than Wrigley. He's very
Yeah, yeah. And Grace Van Patten, obviously the lead of the show, Lucy, you're her best friend, her college best friend, but you're her best friend. What's that like with her?
Oh, really? I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I'm like, great. Just waiting for
It's
me to
great.
be like, Grace is the worst. No, no, we got so lucky. So like almost everyone except for Alicia lives in LA. Grace is actually one of my very close friends. And me and her and Kat in particular hang out a lot. And so those were my favorite days, to be honest, of shooting was like the three of us, because we would just kind of try to work ourselves into a full mania. And I think for us, we were like trying to get the crew laughing, get ourselves laughing, and just get like as much energy in those scenes as possible, even when they're like sad. Dan, who was one of our producing director, was like, "I don't get it. You guys are cracking up," and then we're like, "Action," and you're like, but it was just really, yeah. She's such a talented performer and so spontaneous and just really fun to follow. Yeah, and just
The three of you together is so fun to watch, and all the girl scenes. And this is just coming up on, we're trying to get a third season renewed. I know it's going to be renewed. I'm begging for it. Where do you hope Pippa's storyline goes? Because obviously it's based on the book, but we've already expanded past that in this season, and we're just getting more Tell Me Lies. We need it.
Yes, I hope so. Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I think the writers have done such an interesting job of setting her up, but we really haven't seen her act on anything. She's been just sort of holding everything in and taking care of things. And it's a show about people who make wild decisions. They're like, I'm going to process this in the weirdest, most destructive way possible. And Pippa has a lot of processing. She's got so much rage. She's got just a lot to figure out. And we see later, like you said, she's happier. And you don't really get there just by like thinking about it. So I think it'll be really, really cool. I mean, I'd love to see her get some revenge. I'd like to see like some joy and some happiness for Pippa, but like probably in a really weird way. Yeah.
I love Tell Me Lies. I tell everyone about it. Make sure you watch both seasons, all of them now streaming on Hulu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.
What kind of trouble will this cause?
The devastating kind.
We are wrapping up the second season of The Old Man on FX, streaming on Hulu. I'm talking with one of the showrunners, John Steinberg. So thanks for chatting with me. And for those who haven't seen The Old Man, give us a brief synopsis of what the show is all about.
The Old Man is about a guy who 30 years ago was an action hero, was the kind of CIA adjacent operator that action movies are made of, who managed to survive that experience and 30 years later thought that part of his life is over, and it comes knocking on his door, and things that he had assumed, secrets that he had assumed were going to die with him, aren't, and start to become complicating.
Yeah, and this Old Man we're talking about, the name of the show, but the guy playing him is Oscar winner Jeff Bridges, who is just phenomenal in this show. And the first season, we kind of see the cat and mouse between him and Emmy winner John Lithgow, but it is so satisfying to see them acting off each other this second season. What was that like, getting to watch them bounce their performances off each other?
It was such a treat to be able to tell that story with them, to be able to be with them while they kind of work together really for the first time. They had a bit of material in season one together, but it was pretty limited. And so knowing that they were going to really be able to kind of go on an adventure together in season two was really exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting as an audience member to watch too. And also getting a bigger storyline this season is Alia Shawkat, who I'm not going to give too much away because I want people to watch the show and know what happens with her character. But we know her as this comedic actress who grew up on Arrested Development. Then she was in Search Party, but her dramatic acting chops are just next level as well.
I always am looking for actors who can be funny. I think 9 times out of 10, if you can be funny, you can do anything. And I think when you look at this cast, they all have that in their bag. They've all done stuff that is really excellent and funny and sharp and smart. And she's no different. And she from the gate in season one, everything we watched her do was just blown away by it. And knowing coming into season two what her story was going to be was it was just open road in terms of what we could ask her to do and what we knew we were going to get back.
And this is based on the 2017 book by Thomas Perry, mystery novelist, kind of thriller who people know and love. I haven't read the book myself, but I've seen both seasons of the show. How much have you already expanded upon that story now that we're 2 seasons into the show?
A fair amount. I mean, I think I read the book in 2017 or whenever this started, and met with Thomas and spoke with him, and he was really generous about opening the door to interpretation, to finding new ways to tell the story, to expanding. And I think the show started from the book, but then sort of found its own way, and he's been incredibly supportive the whole way through.
And it's great to hear that you have his full support. And at the end of the second season, there's obviously a huge door open for a potential third season. I haven't seen it renewed yet, but my fingers are so crossed for this. What plans do you guys have for a third season?
We are working on it. Nothing's official, but there are some conversations happening on our side, and some exciting conversations about where that story goes out of the end of season 2. And we're hoping we get to tell that story.
Absolutely. And it's such a fun show to watch. It's thrilling. It's exciting. What do you hope people take away after they watch The Old Man?
I think we hope it's something they haven't seen before. I think being able to have one foot in a spy drama and one foot in a really complicated multi-generational family story that I don't know of a comp for, that's sort of that's telling something in a way that I think is it's a new kind of a story, I guess, is an experience I don't have very much watching TV. So hopefully that's something that we've managed to make accessible for everybody.
Very much. It's incredible performances from Jeff Bridges, John Lithgow, Alia Shawkat, Amy Brenneman also. Make sure you watch. You can watch all 2 seasons of The Old Man on Hulu right now. Thanks a lot, Jonathan.
Thank you.
It's called The Old Man, but I'm going to tell you the performance from this young woman is out of this world. We know her from her comedic roles in Arrested Development and Search Party. I'm talking with Alia Shawkat ahead of now the finale of The Old Man. So tell us more about your character.
Yes, my character. Well, she has many names, but by the end she's Parwana Hamzad. And yeah, she's a FBI agent turned spy turned, leader of a mind. Has many fathers, many identities, and she's a woman who's gone on a crazy journey and is finally stepping into herself.
It really is. There's obviously that huge reveal at the end of the first episode with your character to this massively expanded role in the second season. How do you prepare for such a bigger role in a second season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I prepared for it, honestly. I just kind of handled it as each script came along. But, it was a lot of work. I had to learn Russian for a couple of scenes, which was challenging, but I was proud of myself to be able to hold those words in my head.
Tell me one.
John Steinberg really believes in his actors, so he really puts us all to a challenging test, and it feels good when we're able to show up for it.
A challenging test that you absolutely nail is standing alongside John Lithgow and Jeff Bridges, these acclaimed actors that we've known from years and years of their work. The best scenes this season, I can tell you, are when all 3 of you are together. And what is it like working with them?
It's truly a joy. I mean, it seems kind of silly when actors are always like, "Oh, it was so much fun," but I mean, it truly was. I feel so lucky, and I'm getting to work with legends, true legends, and then on top of it, they're just like the kindest souls, and they're so present, when we're not shooting and on camera, but they're storytellers, and they're just really engaged, and just beautiful actors. They love what they do, and it really, spreads throughout the whole set. They're just like really, people love working for them. Um, they just have kind of like a boundless energy. So I just feel so lucky. In between every take, we would all just kind of sit together, and they would either be like reading a book out loud or telling stories or asking questions. And you realize how rare that is the longer you do this. So yeah, I just feel so lucky I got to spend all that time with them.
Very, very lucky indeed. And what I really like about The Old Man is that it's hard to distinguish, okay, is this a good guy? Is this a bad guy? The different characters, people have their own interpretations for it. What is that like being in this kind of show where audience are kind of interpreting it themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good storytelling, right? Where you're not very clear about who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who once was good is bad. Because as humans, we all have faults, and we're not all perfect. But definitely humans in these kind of circumstances, you have to, it's changing, ever changing how you're going to react to it. Also, I think the way that death is used in a lot of film and television sometimes can be treated really haphazardly. And I think in this show, in a way, it kind of shows you the just like how important it is, the way, like the sacrifices that are made, and yeah, just like the damages of war.
You said it so perfectly about how people are flawed, and not every character has to be this hero or perfect. And we obviously get to the end of the second season. We know there's a lot more coming for a potential third season, hoping, fingers crossed, it gets renewed. What are your thoughts on a potential third season?
Yeah, I mean, God willing. Yeah, I hope Parwana Hamzat gets to do some more, action. Not necessarily killing anybody, but just it would be cool to do some action. Um, but yeah, and ideally, more scenes with Jeff and John. I mean, the way they set it up is we have to go save John. So hopefully he's not hiding away for too long.
Yeah, it goes from them apart, then all of you together this season, now being pulled apart again for hopefully a third season. Make sure you watch The Old Man. All episodes now streaming on Hulu. Thanks a lot, Alia.
Thank you very much.
So we all know him from How to Get Away with Murder. It's crazy. That show was almost 10 years ago, and now he's starring in the hottest ticket on Broadway. I'm dying to see it. Oh, Mary, he plays a gay Abraham Lincoln, but he's kind of playing the double role now. He's in a new TV show called How to Die Alone. Conrad Ricamora, thank you for chatting with me. Tell us what this is all about.
Oh gosh, well, it was exactly 10 years ago this September that How to Get Away with Murder premiered. And now I'm in How to Die Alone. I guess I'm a big how-to TV show guy. But yeah, the How to Die Alone is about self-discovery. It's about self-acceptance. It's about finding who you are and what you want in life, and the resulting chaos that ensues with your friendships and your workplace environment.
You play the best friend of Natasha Rothwell's character, the lead of the show, creator of the show. We know her from Love, Simon, The White Lotus, all these just incredible roles that she is just the breakout character. What's it like working with her on that?
I have been a fan of her, like you said, since when that bit part as the drama teacher in Love, Simon. I was like, who is this? I want to work with her.
They're exactly the same.
Yeah, she pops in everything she does. And to work with her and now be friends with her is, you never know when you meet your heroes if they're going to live up to what your expectation. And to meet Natasha and have her exceed my expectations, not only as a creator, but also as a friend and as a kind, warm human being, has just been like the biggest blessing of the last 2 years.
Love to hear those kind of stories about these big actresses and actors where they're really good people. So tell us more about your character. You play her best friend. Give us a little backstory about your character.
Oh, well, Rory is messy, messy gay man. And, I drew on my experiences in my 20s when I had no clue what I wanted from the world, who I was, and just made all kinds of mistakes with, jobs and relationships, and Rory is no exception. I'm thankful that me, Conrad, am no longer there in my personal life, but I definitely have been there, and that's what I drew upon to play Rory.
You're certainly not alone in that. All of us in our previous 20s. And this is part of Hulu, Disney's Onyx Collective. It's such a great initiative from those studios to show these underrepresented stories from people of color, underrepresented communities. What's that like being a part of a story for this?
Well, I mean, I am an Asian American gay man growing up in this country. I didn't see myself at all on camera, and sometimes when I did see myself, it was very negative stereotypes that I was seeing. So to be a part of this show and a part of the Onyx family now is something that not only feels like a relief for me, but for a relief for my younger little baby Conrad that needed this type of representation.
Representation is so important. We have 4 episodes out today. 4 episodes come out on a weekly basis. First of all, happy premiere day. I mean, this has to be just an incredible day.
Yeah, it's very surreal to be here at this moment, especially because we shot it almost 2 years ago now because of the strikes that happened last year. Everything got delayed by a year. So yeah, to know that this is reaching the entire world now is just such a huge blessing because it was delayed for so long.
Absolutely. And when I look at shows, I'm like, okay, that's a comedy, that's a limited series. I'm quick to know, okay, it's listed as a comedy, so we can hopefully get more seasons. What are the plans? Are there plans in place already if you get renewed, where the storyline takes you guys?
Yes, but I'm not allowed to. Of course,
Right.
They tell me, and then they're like, and don't tell anyone, and then you just live and you're tortured for the next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this show so much. Like you said, it's a comedy, but it's also very true and honest to real life experiences, which can also be painful. So yeah, I'm excited for people to be able to dive in to this world.
You can watch the first 4 episodes now on Hulu, How to Die Alone. You can also go see Conrad at nights or matinee shows in Oh Mary. I have to get out to New York and see it before it closes in November, but thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thanks, Trevor. It's great talking to you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.